Retired Judge Robert Nugent will make a ruling on Monday afternoon on submissions made by suspended SARS boss Tom Moyane at the SARS inquiry. This after lawyers representing Moyane requested that the inquiry be suspended or have a stay in proceedings until his disciplinary inquiry is concluded. Moyane earlier called the Commission a witch hunt, saying he was not formally invited. The Commission is probing tax administration and governance issues at the South African Revenue Service. Several former executives who have testified before the Commission have accused Moyane of instilling a culture of fear when he took over the reins in September 2014. Judge Nugent has formally invited Moyane to make oral submissions before the inquiry.
Prevalent in virtually all South African print and electronic media. Curiously, somebody yesterday, one of the callers in a radio station, referred to this as the Moyane Commission. And one can be forgiven for calling it that, because everybody who has sat on this chair has been going on about the terrible Mr. Moyane. All this is occurring in a situation where Commissioner Moyane has not been invited to this commission, and neither has he been contacted by the evidence leaders, as appears to be the case with other witnesses, particularly those who came armed with 140-page presentations. Yes. And then we'll now then deal with the specific issues, having painted that background. Our view can be prefaced by stating that if this exercise goes on as it does now, it will be nothing more than a monumental waste of taxpayers' money, ironically, when it is about tax collection. Then we deal with gross unfairness. Fairness is one of the cornerstones of our constitutional democracy. The state in particular bears a particular duty to act fairly, both substantively and procedurally. The judge knows more than I do that the notion of fairness really defies any precise definition, but you know it when you see it. And that it is something that should be tailored into specific circumstances of each situation. Now we say here, the inherent and glaring unfairness of the process followed in this inquiry can be approached from a multiplicity of angles, which all come to the same conclusion, that this is one of the grossest and most unfair processes ever witnessed under this democracy. Without exhausting all the instances of unfairness, due to the limited time, we deal with the following topics. 1, the failure to invite the commissioner. 2, eliciting evidence adverse to the commissioner's rights without giving him an opportunity to rebut it. 3, the choice of witnesses. And 4, facing 2 inquiries by the same person, the president, with the same principal witness, Gordon, into the same or an overlapping subject matter. As I've said, fairness, there's no one-size-fits-all definition of fairness.
For more on the story, we crossed our reporter Mbalenhle Mthethwa in Pretoria. Mbalenhle, quite damning allegations levelled at the inquiry. How did Judge Nugent react?
I'm sorry, can you please repeat the question for me?
Sure. Senior Counsel Mpofu being quite harsh on the inquiry, saying it's not fair and it's almost a witch hunt. What was the reaction to that?
Yes, definitely. The conversations today have centered around the unfairness of this inquiry and the unfairness of the fact that suspended SARS Commissioner Tom Moyane faces 2 inquiries. They said that it is not fair and that it is not legal for someone to actually be tried twice, and that's what makes this whole thing illegal. And that is why on those grounds they'd been asking that everything that has been on all the submissions that have been submitted by witnesses this week be scrapped off the roll, and that this commission be discontinued because it is illegal for one person to face 2 inquiries. Early in the morning when we spoke, when he actually made the submission, when Mdalimpofu made the submission, Judge Nugent said that the commission had been set up by the president and it is constitutional. However, later on he conceded and he said that it is concerning that Tom Moyane is facing 2 inquiries at the same time. And the legal team is of the view that he's being treated unfairly and that he hasn't been given an opportunity to come and rebut on all of these allegations that are leveled against him. And what happens is, with these allegations that are being leveled against him, they want him to be there during the proceedings. They want him to sit there. They don't want him to be sitting outside. And this is what I got when I spoke to his attorney, Eric Mabuza, just a short while ago. And they said that it's not fair because he's not a part of it. He was only informed that he could actually come in and even try to make submissions yesterday only. And they believe that he is still the tax commissioner and he should be treated as such. So one of the other things that points of contention that are brought up is that in order to enhance the fairness of this inquiry, they've brought in a memory stick with conversations that will clear his name, that allegedly clear his name. They say that parts of the information that is on this memory stick has actually been circulated in newspapers. However, it's been distorted, and they presented this to Judge Nugent, and he rejected it and he said he'll come back to them on Monday. So that is another point of contention, and that's actually put a spanner in the works. However, they are insisting that he's being treated unfairly, and they even say that the presence of Professor Michael Katz being on the panel is also going to prejudice against Tom Moyane, because actually Katz is a personal lawyer to the president, and they say that this will prejudice and work against the case, Tom Moyane's case. So they would like him to be removed. However, the judge said he doesn't have the powers to remove this person. He has been appointed by the president and he cannot remove this person. And the gist of all of this is that the whole thing is unfair and he cannot face 2, it's illegal for him to face 2 inquiries at the same time. And that's it.
Buddy, so what's the next step? Do we find out if the inquiry is going to be scrapped or not?
You know what? The judge replied to this earlier this morning. He said, no, the commission will continue as planned and it will continue until November. And Tom Moyane actually has the opportunity, he has given him the opportunity to actually make submissions anytime between now and November. That's what he said. He said he has been given the time, and he said that the public was informed of a public inquiry and he is part of the public, and therefore he was aware of the happenings of this inquiry, and therefore he had been informed and he knew that he could come in as a member of the public to make submissions. And that's what's been said about the commission continues.
Mbalenhle Mthethwa in Pretoria giving us an update on that SARS inquiry.